Taiwan's undetermined status, advocacy by Taiwan Civil Government. Since the end of World War II, Taiwan's international legal status has remained undetermined. Taiwan Civil Government, TCG, based on international law of war and U.S. court precedents, is dedicated to promoting the normalization of Taiwan's international status. Historical background. In 1945, following Japan's defeat and surrender to the Allied forces led by the United States, Japan relinquished administrative control over Taiwan, leaving its sovereignty undetermined. As the victorious nation, the United States held responsibility for assisting the establishment of a civil government in Taiwan. In 1949, following defeat in the Chinese Civil War, the Kuomintang, KMT, fled to Taiwan, establishing an illegal exile regime and controlling the territory. On June 27, 1950, U.S. President Harry S. Truman issued a declaration, Truman Declaration, stating that Taiwan's future status should be determined through a peace treaty with Japan after security in the Pacific region had been restored, or by a United Nations resolution. On September 8, 1951, the San Francisco Peace Treaty was signed, in which Japan renounced all rights, titles, and claims to Taiwan and the Penghu Islands without specifying a receiving country. Thus, Taiwan's status remained undetermined, continuing under U.S. military occupation. On October 25, 1971, the United Nations General Assembly adopted Resolution 2758 during its 26th session, addressing the issue of the legitimate representation of China in the UN. The resolution replaced the Republic of China, ROC, with the People's Republic of China, PRC, as China's representative. Importantly, this resolution solely addressed representation rights and did not determine Taiwan's sovereignty. Taiwan Civil Government's position. The TCG advocates the concept of Japanese territory under U.S. occupation, asserting Japan's territorial sovereignty has not ended and the U.S. as the victorious nation, remains the lawful occupying authority of Taiwan. Neither the Republic of China nor the People's Republic of China holds legitimate sovereignty over Taiwan. This viewpoint has been supported by U.S. court precedents, notably the 1959 Shing v. Rogers case, which explicitly stated that sovereignty over Taiwan had never been transferred to China. In 1952, several ROC citizens entered the U.S. with passports confirming their nationality, to receive military training with the U.S. Air Force. After training completion, they overstayed their visas, leading the U.S. Immigration and Naturalization Service, INS, to issue deportation warrants. In its 1959 ruling, the court determined under existing U.S. law, deportation could only be executed to a recognized country, identified as the ROC in this case. However, the U.S. Department of State provided substantial evidence proving that Formosa, Taiwan, had never been lawfully incorporated into the ROC, concluding that Formosa was not ROC territory. Thus, the plaintiffs could not be deported to Formosa. The ruling in Shing v. Rogers, which clarified Taiwan's status under U.S. law, was subsequently reinforced by specific provisions of the Taiwan Relations Act effective from January 1, 1979. Although this case did not determine which political entity holds Taiwan's sovereignty, it clearly established that the ROC does not possess sovereignty over Taiwan, setting an important legal precedent. Roger Lin case in USA and the 5 conclusions. On October 24, 2006, Dr. Roger C.S. Lin initiated litigation against the U.S. government advocating for the normalization of Taiwan's international status and protection of human rights. On April 7, 2009, the U.S. Court of Appeals delivered the following conclusions. 1. Native Taiwanese are stateless. 2. Native Taiwanese lack an internationally recognized government. 3. Native Taiwanese live under political purgatory. 4. Taiwan remains under U.S. military occupation. 5. U.S. administrative authorities should proactively assist the plaintiffs. On February 27, 2015, Dr. Roger C.S. Lin, Julian T.A. Lin, and TCG filed another lawsuit against the governments of the U.S. and ROC, reaffirming the conclusions from the first Lin case. International community reactions. In recent years, the international community has increasingly focused on Taiwan's status. In October 2024, the European Parliament passed a resolution opposing China's misinterpretation of UN Resolution 2758, highlighting that the resolution did not address Taiwan.
United Nations Resolution 2758 is very short, only 150 words, and among those 150 words, the word Taiwan does not appear. The resolution switched representation in the United Nations from the representatives of Chiang Kai-shek to the representatives of the government of the People's Republic of China.
U.S. congressional delegations and political leaders, including Nancy Pelosi and Pete Ricketts, frequently visit Taiwan, underscoring steadfast support for Taiwan's democracy. The U.S.-China technology competition and economic policies further highlight Taiwan's strategic international significance. In 2018, retired ROC Lieutenant General Cao En-kuo established a Republic of China military government, expressing discontent over the existence of the TCG within what he claimed was ROC territory. Cao En-kuo was indicted in 2024 for developing pro-China organizations in Taiwan. Military strategic deployment. The U.S. and its allies have strengthened military cooperation along the First Island chain. The 2025 Balikatan joint exercises between the U.S. and the Philippines included the deployment of anti-ship missiles in the Baton's Islands, emphasizing Taiwan's security as a crucial strategic international issue. Conclusion and advocacy. The TCG advocates that the U.S. should fulfill its legal responsibility toward Taiwan by publicly acknowledging its administrative authority and supporting Taiwan's participation in international organizations under U.S. occupation. This approach aligns with international law, resolves Taiwan's sovereignty issues, and safeguards the future rights and security of the Taiwanese people. The TCG continues advocating for the peaceful resolution and normalization of Taiwan's international status. The future of Taiwan should be determined by international law and the United States. The TCG calls upon democratic nations worldwide to collectively promote the normalization of Taiwan's international status.